I noticed something was wrong before I ever saw them. The strange part is that I already felt watched before anyone new was scheduled to start. It was the way my manager avoided using a name. He stood beside my desk that afternoon, hands resting lightly on the cubicle wall, speaking in that careful tone people use when they're already halfway out of a conversation. "We're bringing someone in tonight," he said. "You'll walk them through the overnight procedures." I nodded automatically. Training new hires wasn't unusual. Turnover on night shifts always was. "What's their background?" I asked. He hesitated just long enough for me to notice. "They've already been cleared," he said. "Just show them how you do things." That was it. No resume talk. No department transfer explanation. No introduction email like we usually got. Just someone. And somehow, before the shift even started, I felt like I already knew I wasn't supposed to ask questions. I worked overnight security coordination for a mid-sized corporate building downtown. Not physical security, more like monitoring access logs, camera feeds, alarm notifications, and maintenance alerts after business hours. Most nights were quiet. The building emptied around 7. Cleaning crews rotated through floors until 10. After midnight, the place settled into long stretches of silence broken only by HVAC cycles and elevator diagnostics running automatically. I liked it. No meetings. No small talk. Just systems behaving predictably. That predictability mattered more than I realized. I'd been there almost 2 years when they told me I'd be training my replacement. They didn't say it directly, of course. But night shift training only happened when someone else was taking over. And nobody had told me I was leaving. They arrived at 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes before shift start. I heard the security door unlock behind me, a soft electronic click followed by footsteps that stopped just inside the room. I turned in my chair. They stood there quietly, badge already clipped to their jacket. Average height. Neutral clothes. Nothing memorable enough to describe later with confidence. That's the strange part. Even now, I can't clearly picture their face. Not blurred. Not hidden. Just, unimportant, like my brain refused to store it. "You must be here for training," I said. They nodded once. No handshake. No introduction. Just pulled out the chair beside mine and sat down like they already knew where it belonged. I waited for them to say their name. They didn't. After a few seconds, I filled the silence myself. "I'm Mark," I said. "Overnight coordinator." Another nod. Their eyes moved immediately to the monitors. Not curious. Not overwhelmed. Just, familiar. Like they were checking something they'd seen before. Training usually starts simple. Badge access systems. Emergency protocols. Camera navigation. I began explaining the layout, how each floor grouped cameras differently, how alerts appeared, which alarms mattered and which ones triggered falsely when temperature changed overnight. They nodded before I finished each explanation, like they already knew what I was about to say. They listened without interrupting. Didn't take notes. Didn't ask questions. At first, I assumed confidence. After a while, I realized they never asked questions, not once. Some people just learned quietly. But about 20 minutes in, something small unsettled me. They reached forward and switched camera groups before I mentioned the shortcut. Exactly the way experienced staff did it. "You've used this system before?" I asked. A pause. Then, something like it. Their voice was calm. Flat. Hard to place. Not nervous. Not friendly. Just efficient. I shrugged it off and continued. But after that, I noticed they kept anticipating steps. Opening logs before I referenced them. Checking elevator diagnostics right before scheduled tests. muting alerts seconds before they appeared. Each time, perfectly timed. It felt less like teaching and more like watching someone follow instructions I couldn't hear. Around 1:30 a.m., the building entered full night mode. Lights dimmed automatically in unused sections. Camera exposure shifted slightly darker. The office always felt larger after that, too much empty space held together by quiet electronics. I stood to grab coffee from the break room and asked if they wanted anything. No, they said immediately. Didn't look away from the monitors. When I came back, they were watching camera 14. The service corridor on floor 5. It wasn't part of standard rotation. Nothing really happens there, I said casually. They didn't respond. Just kept watching. The corridor feed showed exactly what it always showed: closed doors, vending machines humming softly, motionless fluorescent lighting. Still, something about how they watched made me uncomfortable. Not boredom. Attention. Like they were waiting. At 2:07 a.m., an access log notification appeared. Floor 5 stairwell door opened. I frowned. Cleaning crew wasn't scheduled there tonight. I checked badge ID. Authorized entry. No name attached. Just an employee number. That happens sometimes, I said aloud, mostly reassuring myself. Delayed database sync. Beside me, my trainee spoke for the first time in almost 15 minutes. They're early tonight. I turned toward them. What? They blinked slowly, like realizing they'd said something unnecessary. Nothing, they said. But my stomach tightened anyway. We pulled up the camera. The stairwell door closed gently behind someone who never appeared fully in frame. Just movement. A shadow passing beyond camera range. I leaned closer to the screen. Probably maintenance, I said. My voice sounded thinner than I intended. The trainee didn't answer. Instead, they opened another window, archived footage. Timestamped exactly 1 week earlier. Same corridor. Same time. Same stairwell opening. I stared. Why are you checking last week? They looked at me then. Really looked. And for the first time, something in their expression felt wrong. Not threatening. Just knowing. Because this is when you started noticing, they said quietly. A cold sensation spread through my chest. I didn't. I stopped. Because they were right. Last week was when I started feeling watched during shifts. When small system glitches began appearing. When cameras briefly lagged without explanation. I hadn't told anyone that. The building felt different after that. Quieter. Like sound itself had pulled back. At 2:13 a.m., camera 14 flickered. Just once. Then stabilized. The corridor remained empty. But the trainee leaned forward slightly. They'll stop just before the corner, they said. My pulse picked up. Who? No answer. On screen, motion appeared. A figure moved halfway into frame, then paused exactly before the hallway turn. Too far away for details. Completely still. My throat went dry. How did you? They always do, the trainee said. Always. The word landed wrong. I checked timestamps again. Live feed. No delay. No playback. Whoever stood there wasn't recorded history. They were there now. I reached for the radio to contact lobby security. Before I could press transmit, the trainee gently placed their hand over mine. Not aggressive. Just stopping me. Don't, they said. Their hand felt cold. Not physically freezing, just absent of warmth. If you call, they added, they'll leave earlier. I pulled my hand back. What do you mean they'll? The figure on camera 14 shifted. One slow step forward. Then stopped again. Exactly as predicted. My mouth felt dry. Beside me, the trainee watched calmly. Like this was routine. Like this was training. And suddenly a realization crept in, quiet and unbearable. It slowly stopped feeling like I was training someone new, and started feeling like I was catching up. I wasn't teaching them the job. They were teaching me what happened here at night. At 2:16, the camera feed froze. All monitors blinked simultaneously. System reset. Something that had never happened before. When feeds returned, the corridor was empty. Access logs cleared themselves automatically. No record of entry. No alert history. Nothing. I exhaled shakily. System glitch, I said. The trainee finally turned away from the screens. No, they said softly. That's the part where you stop checking. A chill moved through me. What part? They stood up. Chair rolling back quietly. The part where you finish training. My confusion sharpened into something worse. Training for what? They adjusted their badge. For a moment, the overhead light reflected across it. Blank. No name. No department. Just an access stripe. And then they said the sentence I still replay sometimes when I can't sleep. You trained me the same way. The room felt suddenly smaller. I've never met you before. They tilted their head slightly. That's what you said last time too. The security door unlocked behind us. Soft click. Footsteps in the hallway. Real ones this time. I turned instinctively toward the sound. When I looked back, the chair beside me was empty. No trainee. No badge. No movement. Just monitors humming quietly. My heart pounded as I checked door logs. Entry recorded. 11:58 p.m. Authorized trainee access. No exit logged. I searched employee records. No matching hire. No onboarding request. Nothing scheduled. Management later told me no one had been assigned for training that night. They assumed I misunderstood. Stress. Fatigue. Overwork. Security sweep found no one. Cameras showed me sitting alone the entire shift. Talking occasionally. Gesturing toward an empty chair. I resigned 2 weeks later. Couldn't explain why without sounding unstable. For a while, sleep returned. Normal life resumed. Almost. Until months later, when a former coworker texted me. They'd moved on to nights. Temporary coverage. Training someone new. Attached was a photo of the monitoring room. 2 chairs. 2 desks. And on the second monitor, faintly reflected in the dark glass. Someone sitting beside them. Watching the cameras. Waiting. They asked if I recognized the person. I didn't reply. Because I did. And what unsettled me most wasn't their face. It was the posture. The calm patience. The way they leaned slightly forward, already knowing what would happen next. Exactly the way I remember sitting during training. Sometimes I wonder how long the position has existed. Sometimes I still wonder how long they have been working there before I noticed them. How many replacements there have been. And whether the job was ever meant to be done alone. Because every night around 2:13, no matter where I am, I still wake up with the quiet certainty that somewhere, someone is being trained to replace me again.